Translating MIDI input into computer keystrokes on Linux. I have a MIDI controller, Launch Key Mini, that I don't really use for music production anymore, but I would like to use the drum pad buttons or piano keys on it to perform computer keyboard combinations, such as Ctrl plus Alt plus Delete, with a single press. Whenever I try to research this question, I either get pointed to Bohm's MIDI translator, which costs money and isn't on Linux, a horribly outdated plugin/application, or some random library for coding it myself, which I have no clue how to do since I have virtually no skill in programming things related to audio. I caught wind of something called VMPK, but after reading its documentation, it looks like that only converts computer keystrokes to MIDI signals, not the other way around. Is there some way I can do this? I am on Ubuntu 16.04.
This cannot be done without some programming. First, test how to detect MIDI events. Go to a terminal and run asc dump. To list the MIDI ports. This outputs something like this. Then run it with the client name to check whether events arrive. Second, to simulate keystrokes, you need Zdodel. If you do not yet have it installed, run sudo apt-get install Zdodel. You can use type-to-type text or key to simulate special keys. Please note that not all special keys are handled correctly by Zdodel, and Ctrl plus Alt plus Del is handled very specially by the kernel and probably does not work when simulated. Try running sudo reset instead of Zdodel. Finally, tie everything together with a script. Put this into a text file, for example, /bin/MIDI to keys. Make it executable, chmod plus x/bin/MIDI to keys, and run it, /bin/MIDI to keys. Now, pressing E5 or C should have some effect. Change or add lines of the form note on X command to do whatever you want.
I had a similar problem, so I programmed up something that suits my requirements. This URL runs in Linux and uses the X Windows system for keyboard and mouse input events. It uses Lua for configuration and mapping, can perform any action as your user. Has detection on what window is active using the X_class attribute, so you can make different mappings for whatever application is currently running. Automatically reloads the configuration so you don't have to close and reopen it all the time. I've written a simple udev rule to create the MIDI connections when I plug in my controller. There is even an Arch Linux PKG build for Arch Linux, I just haven't added it to the OR. The idea was to remove all of the pain points in making mappings from the MID controller to anything I want. It's been a few years since I built it out, and I use it every day. I pay attention to the repo, but there has only been 1 or 2 people ever email me about it.
If you want to support the channel, please consider making it subscribe.